It's time for the only podcast dedicated to spaghetti westerns and the people who made them. Join hosts Jay Jennings and Tom Betts for the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast, which starts now. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I am Jay Jennings, Spaghetti Westerns collector, and our esteemed co-host for the last, I think it's now 44 weeks, is the one and only Tom Betts. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hi, Jay. Look at that. You see my kitchen. There you go.
And it looks like you got something from Tom's poster addicts for later.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome news. So we want to welcome you all to the show. And we have a special show for you on the podcast. And it's on the spaghetti westerns of Mark Damon. Handsome guy who's still with us, thankfully. Not in that capacity, but he's actually living and breathing. There he is. Johnny Oro, Tom?
Yeah, Johnny Oro.
Okay. So anyway, we're proud to cover his spaghetti western films. He made a lot of horror and giallo as well. But we're concentrating on his spaghetti westerns. Some of them are classics, I think, maybe one or two are. And the last few, like in Always the Career, they kind of gets to either a comedy or they move on to other things. But anyway, we're going to talk about his career. I guess first to Mark Damon. He's actually one of my favorite spaghetti western actors, Tom. How about yours?
He's not in the top five. He's like to me, he's a lower class Juliana Gemma.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if it's his horror background, he's in I think the House of Usher and stuff, and he made a couple of Corman horror films, and I just like his overall one of the appeal, kind of like an Anthony Stephan type to me, Tom.
Yeah,
but you're right. He didn't have as many roles, but in the 5 or 6 he made. He's creepy in Kill and Pray, Tom. That's for sure. Requiescant or Requiescant.
Yep. I told you last week before we started the show, I saw him in a Tales of Wells Fargo episode that comes on Encore Westerns the other night. That's the first time I think I've ever seen him on TV. I don't remember him back in the 50s at all as a television actor, but basically in movies, and they were, Roger Corman type horror movies.
Right. So anyway, as I said, I know he's not everybody's favorite, and he's only made like 6 or 7 or 8 spaghetti westerns. I heard he was supposed to have made a couple more that Tom will tell us about. But I guess I'll just segue. I'll read the first bit about his birth, and then Tom can take over about Mark Damon. And here's one of my favorite shots, Tom, from Johnny Yuma.
Johnny Yuma, yep.
Okay, so let's see. Let's see how many he made. Well, we all know he was born. He also goes by M. Damon or Alan Harris, Tom.
The thing was in his bio, he went by Alan Harris was his birth name, but that's not the truth.
That's not going to get you a marquee headlining name at a movie theater. So Mark Damon wins with Vincent Price, of course. But anyway, so he was born April 22nd, 1933 in Chicago. The name Harris. They moved to L.A. where he went to Fairfax High School, as did my own mother and brother, Tom, and uncle. So they both went to Fairfax in the 50s. A lot of celebrity actors went as he did. Scouted as an actor his senior year by Groucho Marx. I like you, kid. Come join me on You Bet Your Wife. I mean life. But anyway, Tom, he was going to do a business career. He did get an MBA in it, but he took acting classes, and that was that, like most celebrities. Could it be like the same time period of James Dean, Tom?
I think every actor started out as something else. Either their parents wanted to become a doctor, Tom, or a lawyer or something, and they went to college and took classes, and then decided that they wanted to become an actor.
Well, you already showed it, but I'll show the. That's just a jest while we're live, Tom. I think his most famous role is, of course, Ringo in the Golden Pistol.
Oh, I say Johnny Yuma.
Oh, no, no. He's just
Yeah.
anybody. Audie Murphy could have played that role, but there's only one Johnny Oro, Tom. But anyway, I'll just quickly say signed a contract in 56 with 20th Century Fox. He was in Between Heaven and Hell in 56 and The Rebel Breed in 57. Then in 1960, of course, very memorable in The House of Usher, which I love that film, won a Golden Globe Award of The Star of Tomorrow. And then Tom will take over from there. This is where I guess his Italian career picked up.
Yeah, he received an invitation from Luchino Visconti to come to Rome, where he relocated and appeared in over 40 films. I don't think we really think of him as making that many films in Europe and Italy, but he made more films there than he did in the States. He was considered for the role of Django by Sergio Corbucci after they had worked on the basic story and plot together. He was also considered for the lead in 1962's Boccaccio 70, which was given to Thomas Milian, who we covered.
So he missed out on 2 roles, Tom.
Yeah, missed out on 2 because he had he had signed for other roles.
Right.
Damon says he was offered the role of the man with no name, which he turned down, even though Leone begged him to accept the role.
Tom, that's 3 roles he turned down.
Yeah,
So when I say he could have been bigger, it's not. It's his own fault that he wasn't.
That's right. Although the man with no name is disputable because we've proven that Sergio. Well, the story is that
Tom, you auditioned for the man with no name.
let me see where am I? Yeah, he begged him to take the role. Sergio then asked him, since he knew everyone in Hollywood, to help him find someone to play the part. Damon suggested Clint Eastwood, which we know is incorrect. As he says, Sergio flew to Los Angeles and interviewed Eastwood, and they signed a contract. Well, Professor Christopher Frayling found Leone's passport a few years ago when he was writing his Once Upon a Time in the West book, and Leone didn't come to L.A. until 1965, and that was to sign Lee Van Cleef. So the story about him being offered the role of the man with no name and Leone coming and signing Eastwood is totally BS. Anyways, Mark eventually gave up acting in the mid-1970s to become a film producer. He first entered the world of independent sales and production in the 1970s while living and working in Italy, where he saw a huge market for independent international distributors eager for top American movies. He returned to the U.S. in 1977 and founded PSO, Producer Sales Organization. His goal was to sell important American pictures to international distributors. The first such company to compete with the major studios. Damon's subsequent success with PSO led to his reputation as the inventor of the foreign sales business and the brains behind independent film production. Damon was producer or executive producer for over 70 films, and his films have received 10 Oscar nominations, including Never-Ending Story.
That's what you keep saying, Tom.
9.5 Weeks, Das Boot, Never Say Never Again were some of the ones that he was involved in. Damon has been married to actress Barbara Frey, which we'll talk about, appeared in one of his films, Requiescant, and he's married to Margaret Markoff, and they have 2 children.
Right.
So as you said, he's still with us.
The last time I saw Mark Damon could have been sitting right next to me, and I didn't even know it. No, but I do have his autograph, but he signed it in the 50s. So I picked this up at an auction many years ago when it was tough to find a spaghetti western star actor. But anyway, where did I meet him, Tom? At the Aero Theater in Santa Monica. Not 2000, I'm going to say 2008 or 7. It was a screening. It was a screening of one of the Poe films. Anyways, Mark Corman was there. I took a picture with him beforehand, and his wife, Julie. And anyway, so Mark Damon was sitting next to me, and I didn't know it. So he was the speaker after the film. So when they said, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Damon is here, and he stood up like right next, holy shit, I could have been chatting with him.
Yeah.
But screw this film, Usher. Let's talk about, Johnny Yuma and Oro, and they call me Veritas. Or Veritas. Which one is it? I think I got a case of Veritas now, Tom.
Really?
But anyway,
he was part of the
he was
20th.
very gentlemanly, very cordial, very intelligent, and he is a big-time producer, or he was back a few years ago, Tom.
Yeah, he was part of the 2011 Los Angeles Spaghetti Western conference that we had in North Hollywood, and I interviewed him after one of his films that he did with Anthony Stephan, Dead Men Don't Count.
Right.
And the first thing I asked him was about the film and about Anthony Stephan. He says, I haven't seen that film from today for 40 years. He says, I don't remember a thing about it.
I remember the screening the first time they had it. A lot of these celebs they're very kind of humble that way. They make or they're eccentric. They make a film and they don't want to see themselves. Once a lot of actors are like that. Once it's in the can, their job is done. It's not their job to watch it. A lot of that chip on the shoulder. Hey, I'm cool. Hey, if I'm in a couple movies, I'm watching them. Especially if you're in them, Tom.
If he did 40 films over there, he was probably busy doing another film and didn't have time to go see it at the theater. In those days, they didn't have video or DVD, so.
Right. So Tom, you got some Vicks for that, or are you okay?
Still fighting the sinus.
So anyway, we're going to go through some of his all his spaghetti westerns, and the few he didn't make as well. Tom, the first one, his first spaghetti western could have been, but it never was it, Tom?
Yeah, there was one called Before the Sun Rises in 1963 that he was signed to make and never made it. All I can find out about it was it's supposed to have been a Mexican Revolution film. That's all I can tell you about it.
That's it?
Never came to be.
Anyway, so welcome once again to the show. We'll start doing his official spaghetti westerns. That's Tom Betts. I'm Jay Jennings, and we're here every week on live on Facebook and YouTube, and then we're also recorded and taped and archived for future references, Tom, on Apple, Google, Anchor, and Spotify. We've made it, Ma, top of the world. So you can never get your fill, but those versions are audio only. So that's the best of this show. There's about 12 or 11 episodes up. My webmaster's telling me, who is it? It's Gertrude, Tom.
Gertrude.
Right. Our light manager, 88-year-old, and she runs my website. But thank you for watching our show. Very loyal fan base, Tom, from the United States to Japan to Romania to Yugoslavia to Germany to the UK, all around the world, Tom. So, but I think it's mostly to you. They want to hear what you have to say. It's not to hear me yap.
Yep.
But anyway, today is Mark Damon Day on the Spaghetti Western podcast. And I guess his first film, legitimately considered a classic. I know it's big in Spain and Mexico, Tom, but what do you say? Is this a top 20, Tom?
Yeah, this would be a top 20 film, sure.
And what are we talking about? We're talking about Johnny Oro or Ringo.
Yep. Or Ringo and his Golden Pistol. Yep.
Right.
That's a good one to start with as far as getting into the groove of the spaghetti westerns, his first one. It was made in 1965 and directed by Sergio Corbucci. Stars Mark Damon, Tori Manny, Valeria Fabrizi, Loris Lodi plays a little kid in this, and Julia Robini. And it's about a bounty hunter named Johnny Oro, who's played by Mark Damon. He kills 3 Perez brothers, but spares the 4th one because he has no price on his head. This sounds like $10,000 for a massacre in Juliana Gemma. If you haven't got a price on your head, I'm not interested in you. Go away. Anyways, later, Oro is arrested for illegally carrying firearms and dynamite in the nearby town by Sheriff Bill Norton.
Tom?
Pardon? Yeah. It wasn't Seattle. It was played by Sheriff Bill Norton's played by Tori Manny. Anyways, Oro's thrown in jail. And he's forced to watch how the town is besieged by Juanito Perez, the spared brother, and a gang he has assembled who want to kill him. The sheriff sets him free, and Oro blows up the entire town. But Johnny Oro comes
I'm coming back to burn the town, Tom.
Yeah, the Oro comes from he loves gold. He's got a gold cigarette holder. His pistol is gold, and that's why he goes after the big bounties.
Oh, man. You sure this isn't Portland, Oregon today, Tom?
Yeah, I'm sure. Portland or Seattle.
Right. The leader saw this film and followed those orders. Just making a comment. No big deal. Anyway, the film was made prior to Django, Tom. It has that Django feel to it.
That's where Corbucci and Damon worked on the story for Django. And,
It's pre-Django, Tom.
That's why, yeah, Damon was basically going to be in the film, but since it wasn't done until after this film, he was involved in something else. So
imagine Mark Damon as Django, Tom.
Yeah, it could be.
I can see it.
We don't know the script. They could have changed the script to fit Nero.
Tom, they're all interchangeable. Damon, Stefan. The only person who you knew would get the role was Peter Lee Lawrence, because ain't nobody looking like him.
No, he couldn't.
So all these guys were fighting for roles. We've interviewed them.
Yep.
It's like an Italian casting agent. Anthony Stefan is here. Here's Robert Woods. And hey, Mark Damon, nice to see you. All gentlemen, take a seat. They'd all in front of the screen, read it in Italian. Boom, one of them is chosen, or one of them was given the role first, and they turned it down. Listen, this is just conjecture. I don't know if all these great spaghetti western legends would appear like a Hollywood audition. And they are. There's Stefan and Nero and Hill, and they're all just standing there with a script. Are you up for this, Mario? Yes, I am. Nice to see you, Franco. So what do you think, Tom? You think that's far-fetched, or was it given to the agents?
No, I think so. I think Corbucci and the producers interviewed these people, or at least had pictures of them and stuff like that they could get an idea of what they would look like in the part.
And Tom, whose outfit is Johnny's?
I was just going to say, you saw that he was dressed all in black.
I wonder who he looks like.
He looks like Paladin in Have Gun Will Travel, because Corbucci was a big fan of that TV series.
Yeah, you put a mustache. It's Richard Boone with a mustache,
Richard
Tom.
Boone, yep. There you go.
Actually, great scene holding the urn, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that dynamite, Tom?
That's probably nitroglycerin in that canteen. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, and then he sets the town on fire, and that's that. Usually the film starts with the town on fire.
Yeah.
But this one just ends with glorifying it.
Remember, there's a cannon at the end of town, and he's got his dynamite hidden in there before they put him in jail.
Right. I really enjoy this film, Tom. Of course, it's I think it's one of the lower, and it's the lower 20, but it's still a cult film. I mean, it's a Corbucci movie. You can't cite, you know what I mean? Like The Mercenary.
Yep.
So anyway, okay, that's a great film. Where is it available on, Tom?
Oh, this one? I think it's on DVD and Blu-ray.
Okay. So, go out and find it. You won't. It's kind of like one of the Pecos films, Tom. It's like this film is to Damon what My Name is Pecos is to Robert Woods.
Oh, yeah, right.
At least that's my opinion.
This made his name and his character after this is based on this type of a role. I asked him at the convention, so many times his name is Johnny. The character he plays is Johnny.
Right.
And I
Johnny
said,
Angel.
Yeah, is there any reason for that? He just like he'd never heard
Johnny.
that before. Said, nope.
It's a cool name.
Yep.
And especially for a spaghetti western star. That's why they had that the small figure toy Johnny West, Tom.
There you go.
So all the kids would
Johnny
dig
West.
it. But moving right along, how often do you get to make one cult film after another, and they have the same freaking first name? I mean, he didn't have to do much, but he's kind of the same character without the mustache, Tom.
Yeah. Johnny Yuma. There he
Johnny
is.
Yuma, Johnny Oro.
Yep. This one's
That's a great double bill, by the way.
Directed by Romulo Guerreri, 1966 Italian. Stars Mark Damon, Lawrence Dobkin, Rosalba Neri, and Louis Vanner. I think Rosalba Neri plays the hardest female character in spaghetti westerns in this film. She's got a fantastic role for a woman. Anyways, it's about Samantha Felton, played by Neri, convinces her brother Pedro, played by Louis Vanner, to help her murder her husband in order to get their hands on his ranching empire, only to discover that he has left everything to his nephew, Johnny Yuma, played by Mark Damon. Samantha decides to hire her ex-lover, the ruthless bounty killer Lawrence Carradine. Lawrence Dobkin plays that role, to get rid of Yuma. When Johnny arrives in town, he discovers the plan against him, forms a mutual respect for Carradine, and the two set out to find the hidden will which could upset Samantha's evil plans. This is sort of like Cemetery Without Crosses, where the lover goes and hires up her ex-lover to seek revenge on a murdered relative. Only this one isn't a murdered relative. It's a relative that's still alive that's going to take her fortune away from her.
I was going to say, Tom, before Gertrude pulled the audio plug, Johnny Yuma ain't no Cemetery Without Crosses, right,
no.
Tom? I mean, one's a classic art film that you think Bergman directed, and one is pretty good. But anyway, I've got some photographs from the film. Kind of a more, I don't know, he's always, let's give him credit. He plays a greasy character sometimes. Filthy, dirty, kind of Trinity-like, but with dark hair, Tom.
Yeah, this one, he's a gunfighter. He's slick. He's always got smart aleck lines. And, he's not to be trifled with. The one scene in here is when he meets Carradine, and they start this admiration society for each other. They switch gun belts because they admire each other. And without knowing, if you watch the film, one's right-handed and one's left-handed, but when they strap the gun belts on, it
still works, Tom.
Fits. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of fans have commented that their gun belts shouldn't be that way, but
Right, and of course the unforgettable theme song, Tom.
Oh yeah, Johnny Yuma.
That's why I hope people stuck around today just to hear you do that.
By the Wilder Brothers. It's a great one. Yep.
But anyway, so no, it's a great film. We got a couple to show from it. Let's move on. This is who's this character actor, Tom? I forgot.
God, I can't tell.
What do you mean? That you know who that is,
Tell.
Tom?
The guy I don't know. Well, it's Damon, but I don't know who he's playing cards.
Yeah. Remember he flipped meats in Alice. What's his name again? Vic Tayback, Tom.
Vic Tayback, yeah. I have no idea.
No, you know who that is? That's Edward Platt, Tom, from Get Smart.
Edward Platt?
You didn't know he made a spaghetti western?
No, I did not. What's the brand of cigar they're smoking?
Was that a Cuban, Tom?
I don't know.
I heard he only smokes Cuban on the set.
It could be.
And then this memorable scene, Tom.
Yeah, that's when they're getting ready for the showdown.
Oh, it reeks of Cassidy and Sundance, Tom.
Either that, or it reeks of Mortimer and No Name at the end for a few dollars more, where they face down the bandits. Yeah.
So anyway, Johnny Yuma, classic that came right after Johnny Oro.
Johnny Oro, yep.
Yeah, how often is that going to happen? It's just basically, I enjoy both films, so you can't go wrong with either one.
Nope.
Next, Tom, is Death Does Not Count the Dollars, one of my favorite titles of all time. And he plays, it's funny, it's Harry Boyd or Jeffries, Tom.
Yeah, this one's it goes from two great films to a mediocre. This one's more of a mystery, like Robert Wood's Gatling gun, than being a Johnny Yuma, Johnny Oro type. And it's also known as No Killing Without Dollars and Death at Owl Rock, which is the weirdest title.
Ooh.
Owl Rock becomes the town's name, but it was 1966, directed by George Lincoln. Well, who in the heck is George Lincoln?
That's Lincoln
great.
Tate's dad, Tom.
No, it's horror great. Ricardo Frida. So
no kidding, Tom.
Yep. It stars Mark Damon, Stephen Forsyth, who's a Canadian, Luciana Gilly, Pamela Tudor, Giovanni Pazzafini, and our friend from the Demophiliano Fadani group, Dino Strano, or Dean Stratford.
Oh, we love Nino Strano.
We know him, yeah. Anyways, Lawrence and Jane White, played by Stephen Forsyth and Luciana Gilly, are determined to find the man responsible for their father's murder. They suspect a number of people in the town of Owl Rock, so they hire a professional gunfighter named Harry Boyd, or Harry Jeffries, played by Damon, to help them in their quest for vengeance.
Oh, that's it, Tom.
That is the plot line, yep.
Right. So I think it's actually was known in the States as Death at OL Rock.
Death at Owl Rock, yeah.
But we're going to take a look at some photos from it. So any interesting tidbits from the set, Tom?
I've got nothing behind the scenes about this thing. I mean, I've seen it once because it's pretty hard to find.
Oh, I have it, of
There,
course,
there,
Tom.
there he's dressed in black again.
Right. Or it could be Wanted. Him, Gemma. What did I tell you? They're all interchangeable. There's like 5 of them, like, of course, Hill and Nero, and other ones, Damon and Gemma, and then you can take any of the sidekicks like Sambrel or Brega and Sancho.
Rana, yep.
Yeah, they're all interchangeable. That's what made him great.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like you don't know who's it. Oh, that's who that is because he's played him 16 times.
Yep.
But right. So
The other thing about this one, Jay, is
Yeah.
in the very beginning, you know who the bad guy is. You know who the villain is. So there's no mystery to it. It's just a matter of them finding out who it is. So that's sort of a strike against it.
Well, and it's got your typical guy in the tub with his senorita and daughter watching.
Yeah. But the Frida influence comes in the very beginning. There's an onlooker that sees the murder, and they have a doctor surgically remove his tongue.
Well,
So that's a nice horror touch. But after
that's why I
it's
love
very
this
mellow.
film.
Yeah.
Because of Frida's directing this, Ricardo Frida, and it's got to have those Mario Bava type touches, weird kind of mysterious colors, scheme, weird framing. So it is kind of a little different.
Frida
That's why I don't
said
think
that-
it's that.
Frida
I
said
don't
that
think
it
it's
was
that
more
well known,
violent
Tom.
than the final product because the producers cut the violent scenes out because they wanted to release it at more like a Ringo movie.
And what happened then, Tom?
Well, that's
It gets
the way
lost
it
in
ended
the
up.
it
They
gets
left
lost in the shuffle.
gets lost in the shuffle's right. Yep.
And this is one of those obscure ones. Death Does Not Count the Dollars, one of the great titles. Tom, if they were to remake this today, Christopher Lambert, maybe, Tom?
Yeah, maybe.
Or that, or what's that,
About
that French actor, Yves Montand?
maybe Matt Damon could play Mark Damon today.
Yeah, that's great, Tom. I hope to God not. But anyway, let's say that we're enjoying this little, I guess, homage to Mark Damon. We have a special visit from Tom's poster addict later, and of course we have autograph of the week. Tom has his album of the week. You got a book of the week too, Tom?
Got a book.
Oh my God, because I've ran out after 40 some books.
I've got as many books as I've got albums and CDs. So
Oh, that's why we'll be
Go on
doing
forever.
this show until at least the mid 2020s, Tom. So, news of the week, of course, museum piece. And then we actually have a phone call of the week where a spaghetti western star calls us up and wishes us well, Tom.
Great.
Anyway, April Fool's, Tom.
April Fool.
Right. Oh, by the way, if the cat hasn't been let out of the bag yet, I posted a photo or a poster of Franco Nero's newest Django film, Django the Reaper.
The Reaper.
Right. Roberto Genesi, I think his name is. Great director. He did, what was it, Tom? Die Now, Pay Later, or Think Now, Pay Me Tomorrow. He did another great spaghetti western.
Karate Fists and Pork and Beans. That's what
Right.
it is.
At least it's
That's
something
the
like
one.
that. But he's tackling the latest. I think it's Django 30 years later. And he's now the Reaper. So maybe he's dead, Tom, as he walks across the threshold. Django the Reaper. Would you pay good money for that, Tom?
I'd go see him, sure. You bet. You bet.
Now I can tell you, happy man, Tom.
I'll camp out
Awesome.
overnight, see that one.
Right. I would fly in to see that one, Tom.
Pass up on my COVID shot to go see Django.
Oh, right. You'd have to get it there at the theater, Tom. So anyway, the next film, Requiescant or Requiescant, Tom. We've covered that film when we did, I think we had a Lou Castel Film Festival. And, but we never talked too much about Mark Damon's role in it, which I think is his Barnabas Collins.
Yeah.
He's almost like a zombie, or meets Boris Karloff. This way to your bedroom, sir.
Yeah, he lives in a castle. Yep. Got this dark eye makeup. Jay and I were debating on whether Claudio Camaso was offered the role and turned it down.
Or this is what I'm talking to you about, Tom. I mean, this sells it.
There you
Welcome
go.
to my castle.
Waiting for the fangs to pop out.
That or a midnight snack, Tom.
Yep.
But as a ghoul. So that's why I love this film, because as some of you don't know, I also love classic horror and Hammer horror. And when I saw this for the first time, because I saw it later, when it came out, we didn't get to see this, Tom, at least me, until a few years ago.
Yep.
I was like, oh, this is cool. Not only is it a cool film about a little midget assassin who reads the Bible, but Mark Damon as like this ghoul is the extra icing on the cake, Tom.
Yep. It's 1967 Italian-German, so maybe the German influence came into the horror side. Directed by Carlo Lazzani, stars Lou Castel, Mark Damon, Piero Paoli Pasolini, and Damon's future wife, Barbara Frey, is in this playing Princey. And this one is about Requiescant. Lou Castel is a young Mexican who, as a boy, was adopted by a devoutly religious family following the massacre of his village. He leaves his family to rescue his adopted sister from the clutches of George Bello Ferguson, played by Mark Damon, a racist Confederate. He quickly learns...
Wait, Tom, a racist Confederate.
Confederate, yeah.
Was he a registered Confederate?
No, he was just on his own.
Oh, I see.
Anyways, he learns really quickly that he's a natural talent as a gunfighter and gets his revenge for the massacre of his family. So I always say Damon reverts back to his horror film acting ability in like House of Usher. The eye makeup, he wears a cape sometimes, makes him look like a vampire. He lives in a villa. One of the best scenes has him competing in a drinking shooting competition in the basement of his mansion.
Well, it's funny, Tom. I think there is one part in the scene, unless I'm about to show the wrong film. Tom, I'm about to say, well, later in the film when he's wearing normal clothes, I had this in the file. I'm sure it's not from the right film, Tom.
Yeah,
is it?
Well, it could be.
Is he normal for 5 seconds in this film? I forgot.
It could be. He could be.
Okay. I had this in my Kill and Pray file, Tom.
Yeah.
So it looks like an episode of Man from U.N.C.L.E., Tom.
It looks like he's got a Western tie on, not a...
This could be later after he's free from the vampire's curse.
Could be.
The makeup becomes less ghoulish and he can actually carry on a conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, a great film. Requiescant.
Yeah, it's also known as, what have I got? Several English titles.
Kill and Pray, Tom.
Kill and say your prayers, let them rest, and kill and pray.
Right.
And it's on DVD and Blu-ray.
So the next
Castile
film
character changes because he started out as avenge for his family's murder. Then he gets involved with the peasants' plight against Mark Damon's tyrannical rule. So
right, we've covered this film before.
Yep.
We've covered most of these films, but not together to describe one actor's career. So we thought that would kind of be fun.
And then Barbara Frey, again, I'll mention, she was married to Mark Damon from 71 to 73.
Oh, okay.
And she plays Princey in this, the girl he has to rescue.
So Mark Damon, after that, got to be in another pretty good, damn good film, Tom. It's an Anthony Stephan vehicle, but A Train for Durango is actually a fun watch, Tom.
If you say so.
For me, it is.
It is for you. Yeah, it's
Well,
one of these
you know
films-
why?
Why?
It's the young lady there on the train, Tom.
Oh, yeah. Dominique Bouchero, yep. The problem I have with it tries to be like a few of these.
Magnificent Seven?
Well, it doesn't know whether it wants to be strictly a comedy or it wants to be a drama.
Oh, yeah, that part I don't like either.
So they mix it back and forth, and Damon's character comes in and out of the film, and about the time you think he's not going to show up again, he rides up in a car, and he and the girl, Bouchero, are partners in trying to dupe these two out of the gold.
Well,
But,
Tom,
it's a Mexican revolutionary film.
well, another reason is I like his little measly mustache. He's kind of like a weaselly,
Yeah, it's like the John
snidely
Saxon.
whiplash. Oh, no,
Yeah.
it looks like Vincent Price. Thank you very much, Jay.
Yeah, well, it looks real. The one on John Saxon in that We saw, we shot. Looks like it was painted on, but
Isn't
yeah,
We
he
Came, We
comes and
Saw, We
goes.
Shot? Isn't that a musical, Tom? I thought, okay.
Antonio Sabato.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's right.
Gringo, played by Anthony Stefan, and Luca, played by Enrico Maria Salerno, board the train for Durango, which is robbed by Mexican bandits led by Lobo, Roberto Camardiel. The safe is stolen. A French madam, Dominic Bouchero, is kidnapped, and everyone is killed except Luca and Gringo, who find the keys to the safe and take off to steal it back. Aided by a mysterious American named Samuel Lee Barrett or Elias McPherson, which is Mark Damon, and his arsenal of weaponry, the film goes back and forth between slapstick comedy and drama.
That's the part I don't like. If it just
Yep.
would have stuck, it could have been like a little mini revolutionary movie, but
Yep.
you're right. They added some tongue-in-cheek stuff in there. And as my opinion, as well as a lot of fans out there, I just, maybe near the end, if you're making, 2 turkeys, a lima bean, and a karate chop, that's okay. But not, or a Franco
Yep.
Ciccio
Well,
movie, Tom.
it was written by Duccio Tessari, so it's sort of a disappointment because he was the writer also for A Few Dollars More and A Bullet for the General. So he could write hardcore dramatic films and revolutionary films. It drags in places too.
Well, it had a little mercenary in it, Tom.
There you go. Look at machine gun. Look at the hat.
It's one of my favorite scenes, but it looks so snidely there, like he's about to
Yep.
go, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Snidely whiplash.
Every time they get into a predicament, he's there to help get out of
Right.
it. So.
Kind of a side, yeah. And he didn't star in
Guardian
this thing.
Angel. Yep.
It's like, what would you compare this to, Tom? To El Chuncho?
Yeah, it's
With
like
the
a
comedy?
combination of a bunch of films. Yep.
Yeah, it had the possibility, but it just didn't deliver the goods. But anyway, so after A Train for Durango, Tom, we had a film, another great title. Not only does Death Does Not Count the Dollars, and I guess in another existence, Dead Men Don't Count. They're always a takeoff on a previous film or a film afterwards, and then pretty soon they all become confusing, Tom, because they all have the word dead in it, or does not count, or a few dollars for. And we did a show on alternate titles. I think we picked
Dead Men
like,
Don't Cast Shadows. I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
titles that are very similar.
or Here Come the Vultures, Better Lie Down and Take It Like a Man.
Yeah, this was also known as Cry for Revenge, The Dead Are Countless, and Dead Men Don't Count. It's
Right.
directed by Rafael Marchant, so it's a Spanish-Italian co-production. Stars Anthony Stefan, Mark Damon, Louis and Dooney, Maria Martin, and Dianik Zurakowski, who's in all the Peter Lee Lawrence films.
Yeah, I like the poster. It's kind of cool.
Yep. This one's about 2 gunmen ride into town and with the plan to collect a large unearned bounty, but are caught up in the local war for land caused by the impending arrival of the railroad. So you know who the 2 gunmen are. They're Anthony Stefan and Mark Damon.
Right?
Yep. This one's a confusing introduction with an adulterous woman, Maria Martin, planning on
Who doesn't
killing
love
her
Maria
husband.
Martin, Tom?
Pardon? What
Maria
about
Martin.
Maria Martin? I don't care for her. She's very, very hard looking. A look older than she's supposed to be.
Well, okay, I still like it that way. Okay.
Okay. Anyways, she plans on killing her husband, Louis and Dooney, and 2 men, Fred, Johnny Dalton, played by Damon, involved in a massacre within a ruined church. Then the film jumps nearly 20 years, and Damon becomes involved with the couple because the gun he wears causes the Dooney and Martin couple to believe he is their long-lost son. So it's sort of like, what's going on here, you know? And this is the one I interviewed Damon on it.
Oh, wait, he didn't remember
He
anything.
didn't remember a thing about it. But
Well,
it's a good
Robert
action.
Woods doesn't remember a few, Tom.
He doesn't remember the one about the snakes. That's right.
Well, you listen, when you become up in that age and you're a legend, you're given a pass.
Yeah.
You can't remember every film, good or bad, that you made, mostly the bad ones.
But
That's
also
the
there's
big
2
shootout,
composers
Tom.
credited for the music, but I think one of them was credited just as a tax purpose. Riz Ortolani really has nothing to do with the scores. It's strictly Marcel Giambini.
Well, it's another pairing of 2 legends.
Yep. Those are
And they
always
did it
good.
with Peter Lee Lawrence and who else?
John
Stefan
Ireland.
and John Ireland. So it's just, I love when they pair two. You're lucky when you get two. I'm not talking about a Hill Spencer team. I'm talking about, it's almost like you roll the dice. What two spaghetti western stars are you going to pair in this film?
Yep.
And it, oh, we lucked out. It's Clint, Eli, and Lee Van Cleef.
There you go.
So anyway, one more shot from the film. Who's that guy in the right, Tom?
It's like Piero Lully.
That's not Gene Wilder,
Or
Tom?
Lully. No, it's not Gene Wilder.
Okay.
It's not Harry Carey either.
Oh no, it was it was McDonald Carey, Tom.
McDonald Carey?
Yeah. The music, two composers, but only one, Tom?
Yeah, like I said, it's not Riz Ortolani. Everybody would recognize it. Riz Ortolani score. It's got to be Giambini. So
It's got to be Giambini, Tom.
Ortolani was just put in there for tax purposes.
Right. I actually enjoyed this film. You say it has good action, but no substance.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a bad film. Sometimes Tom and I won't agree. That's fine. I actually like Matalo, and he likes Rita. Right, Tom?
I hate both of them. I hate both of them.
Just a minute, folks. A little bit of the old Paul Newman's. Really, Tom? I don't like Rita. I thought you said it was. If you take away Rita, it's not a bad
If you
film.
take the
Tom.
singing stuff out and just have the basic storyline, it's not too bad. But
Oh man,
put in the dancing and the singing and forget it.
So that was funny, Tom. The reason that says Matalo or Matalo, Tom, for me is the music. I'm a fuzz guitar addict. I love that 60s psychedelic sound. So
Well, then
no matter what you see on the screen, as long as you play that over it,
I'll
Tom.
just send you the CD. You can listen
Oh,
to
awesome.
it.
I couldn't be happier. It's like Hendrix meets Vanilla Fudge. I love that stuff. Anyway, so let's move right along to Mark Damon's next film, Go for Broke, where he gets to team with the aforementioned John Ireland, Tom.
Yeah, this one's also known as One for All, Guns of Courage, and All Out. We know
All Out's the one I think it was released as.
Yeah, both of them here, All Out and Go for Broke. It's a 68 Italian-Spanish co-production directed by Humbert Humphrey, who's actually Umberto Lenzi.
That's very cool, by the way.
Pardon?
Alberto Lenzi is a classic horror director.
See, now they got him on there as Umberto Lenzi, but in Italy, he went by Humbert Humphrey.
Right. Well, sometimes, as you see, a horror director will take the reins, like Fulci and Bava.
And this could be a re-release too, Jay, where he was known now as a horror director, so they used his real name on the poster. But anyways, it stars John Ireland, Mark Damon, Fernando Sancho, Monica Randall, and Jose Torres. And this is about an Italian named Copperface. I'm sorry, an Indian named Copperface, not an Italian, an Indian. Played by Jose Torres, is suspected to have stolen a large quantity of gold from a bank. A gunslinger named Owl, played by John Ireland, and a young card sharp named Johnny Sweet, played by Damon, form a partnership when they hear the rumors about the gold. Also interested in the gold are two Mexicans, Eduardo Fajardo and Armando Calvo.
To the best.
They also have to deal with the ruthless Mexican bandit leader Carrancha, played by our buddy Fernando Sancho, and his gang of cutthroats, and a lovely but duplicitous Senorita Maria, played by Monica Randall. We've talked about this one before because of the Fernando Sancho context, but it's several references to the Dollar trilogy. There's a
Dun, 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 dun.
pocket watch, which means much to the main villain and one of the partners. There's an uneven partnership between the older gunfighter and the young one, and the double dealing in the treasure search. So,
Tom, wouldn't it be nice if you're going to steal the pocket watch, don't have the same
I was
music?
gonna say, change
All the
tune.
films have the same chime. It's like,
Really?
can't you guys at least reverse or move the notes around?
Yep.
And then, of course, it has a great good, bad, and the ugly reference, Tom.
Oh, the line?
Yeah.
Men are divided into two categories: those who
Those
carry
who carry
the gold and those
caress
who
the
take
gold,
it away.
Those who
In
take
other
it
words,
away.
those who take, and those with loaded guns. You dig. But it's got a great supporting cast of spaghetti regulars, so it's worth watching. And Ireland's always entertaining.
Oh, John Ireland,
Yeah.
who's in Satan's Cheerleaders.
Mm.
Oh, you haven't seen Satan's Cheerleaders, Tom?
I saw it long ago. Yeah.
John Carradine, I think, bunch of
Yep.
nice scantily class cheerleaders, and John Ireland runs a witch coven, and he's got all these high school girls in his coven.
Was that directed by Jim Wynorski?
No, that comes
Oh,
later,
okay.
Tom.
Okay.
Satan's Cheerleaders 2.
All right.
But no, the first one's the classic in schlock horror, soft core movies. But let's not forget that 'cause these stars would be in anything at any time, Tom. I mean, you have Marlon Brando and Walter Matthau, James Coburn are in Candy. So a lot of these celebrities just make appearances in these films probably for the cash, or they go to Europe.
Either that or they're doing a favor for the director, the producer, or somebody like that. Or
I don't know where all that came from, Tom, was the John Ireland reference.
Ireland, yeah, reference.
Anyway, here's another cool shot from the film.
There's that church you see, like Any Gun Can Play, and a bunch of others that they used to use.
Right.
That's
but
Eduardo
Copperface, isn't
Fajardo
that
and
used for a
Armando
couple other
Pelli.
films, Tom?
I'm sorry?
Copperface.
Yeah, Copperface. Another name that they used. That's right.
We got one more great shot. It's the classic scene where he's behind the wagon wheel, Tom.
There you go.
It's always do or die in these movies, Tom.
Well, I always want to know why they would use their pistol with a glove on.
It makes it hard for the repeat triggering, Tom.
Yeah, really. Just to pull the trigger, stick your finger through there.
We'll tell that to Claude Akins in the Great Bank Robbery, Tom.
Well, Cemetery Without Crosses, Jay. He puts his glove on when he's going to use his gun. So
or Nick what's his name? In the Big Valley, the Peter Breck character. He
Nick Barkley, yeah.
Yeah,
Played by,
he always wore gloves. Like even for a fight, he kind of reminded me of a poor man's Neville Brand.
yeah.
But or vice versa, Tom.
Peter Breck, yep.
Right. And we said we got one. Oh, that's it for Go for Broke. Okay. We move on. This is the part of the career where the title kind of will ruin what you're going to see later, and then of course the plot becomes tongue in cheek. You might as well go watch a movie called Homps, HAWMPS 76, about a mule that can kick field goals. That's much better than this film. But Tom, The Great Treasure Hunt.
The Great Treasure Hunt, also known as Five for the Gold of Los Cuadros, The Great Chihuahua Treasure Hunt, directed by Tonino Ricci. That should give you a hint of how poor it is. Stars Mark Damon, Rosalba Neri, Alfredo Mayo, Stan Cooper, Luis Marin. But 1972, Jay, so that tells you we're into the comedy.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Of either comedy or they start to use a lot of explosions instead of just gun downs. This one's about two crooked brothers, Sam and Madison Deem, played by Mark Damon and Stan Cooper, who become involved with a crooked gambler, Alfredo Mayo, and his companion Agnes, Rosalba Neri, and a blind Mexican. Together they travel to a heavily guarded fort in Chihuahua to steal a treasure. It's a suspected comedy film. It turns out to be more of an adventure film. So it's not as bad as you would think it would be, but it's no Once Upon a Time in the West.
We've seen it all before, Tom, with Franco Nero in the snow, Tom.
Yep. Well, the other
just
bad
making
part
a
about
reference.
this is the blind Mexican turns out not to be blind at the end. So it's like, oh, they've been duped for 3/4 of the film.
Actually, Tom, I think they were trying to make Damon Al Pacino, and they were trying to make Coop Robert Redford.
Robert Redford, yeah, could be.
In their own little film, their own little Sundance and the Cassidys.
Yep.
So remember when they did that? They just reversed the name, Tom? You knew right then you were in for some
Sundance
fun.
Cassidy and Butch the Kid, yeah, right.
That's right up there with Little Rita for me, Tom. Jeez. Anyway, so there's some other... Anyways, as Tom says, it's a little bit better than you would think. A little bit of a buddy movie, but as I said, comedy. Oh, let's show the cast. Oh, one of my favorite actresses, Tom. Nelby.
Oh yeah, she's worth watching it.
Oh man,
Yep.
definitely. And they got Keenan Wynn but he
That's
lost about a foot
yeah,
off his
Alfredo
height.
Mayo, but yeah, he's the Keenan Wynn double, the
Oh,
Italian
right.
Keenan Wynn.
Of course he is, Tom.
Yep.
He was in the Great Race as Hezekiah. But anyway, yeah, so this one's not an important one to see. It's on VHS, right, Tom?
Yep.
So
Never
anyway,
made it to DVD for good reason.
we forgot. Let's go back for a second, Tom. I don't know if you have any notes on. He was supposed to make a great titled film called A Rope for Django, Tom.
Yeah, I told Jay I don't have anything on these but the title. 1970, he was supposed to make a film. The English title is A Rope for Django. Also that year, he was supposed to be in an Italian film called Veni, l'ora del massacre e fu la resa de Conte, which translates into The Hour of the Massacre Came, and it was the reckoning. And that's all I have on it. I have no idea on who the directors were to be or any other stars, just the fact that that's two films that were never made that he was going to be in.
Well, two more that he could have, would have, should have, huh, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so here we are at the home stretch of taking a look at Mark Damon's at spaghetti western career. Can you call it Italian westerns, Tom, or is that a different genre?
It's because they call them Italian westerns. To me, they were made in Italy only.
They must be a spaghetti western.
Yeah, if it's spaghetti western, it could be
Spain,
basically
Italy,
Spain,
Mexico,
Italy, or
France.
both. Yeah, France, Germany.
Or Sweden, Tom.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Right.
South Africa.
Right. So, but Savage Pampas is a spaghetti western, Tom, in my
For
opinion.
you, not for me.
And the debate continues.
I draw the line at Mexico. Anything
I'll draw
south of
the
Mexico
line. You
is
do,
not
Tom.
not a western.
Savage Pampas is not a spaghetti western. Okay. Let's move on, Tom. Is Old Shatterfoot or Shatterhand, Tom?
Well, those are designated as German westerns. Winnetou films. They've got their own little category. They
All
fit
right, if you
in
say so,
Euro
Tom.
westerns, but not spaghetti westerns.
I love when Tom lectures. I sit and just listen. Anyway, let's take a look at this one's lesser end of his career, but it's still a starring role, Tom, as Alan Hershkovitz.
Oh, you talking about Pistol Packin' Preacher?
Yes, Tom.
Wow, that's a goodie. That was directed by Leopoldo Savana. Also has Richard Melville, who is actually Rosario Borelli, Pietro Ceccarelli, Veronica Korosek, and Florana Di Bernardo. You've never heard of any of these people, and that's why it's not a very good film.
Well, Tom, you know what they did get? Sean Connery for the poster.
Yeah, right.
Don't shoot me on the top of the head there.
This is about a lazy gunman named Slim, played by Damon, who joins a traveling Italian pizza baker, Jeremiah, played by Pietro Ceccarelli, who that's supposed to be Pietro Ceccarelli. He was a bald Italian actor, pops up as a strong man, a blacksmith in a lot of the westerns. Anyways, Jeremiah has two daughters, and taking advantage of an astronomical miracle, a solar eclipse. How many times did we see that?
Too many, Tom.
Yeah, they try to get their hands on a treasure hidden by a not so respectable small town banker. This to me is tied with your favorite. They called him Veritas as Damon's worst spaghetti westerns.
We have even got to that, Tom.
Yep.
I love they call him Veritas.
This is the time he was starting to consider getting out of acting and going into producing.
Right, Tom, I got this. This was in my file, too. Is this from Pistol Packin' or Pistol Pokin'?
No, that's Guy Madison and
oh, that's Reverend Colt,
Reverend
Tom.
Colt. That's Reverend Colt.
What's he doing?
I think he showed up on the set to shoot
in my
there,
Pistol Packin' preacher.
Yeah. Well, he is a pistol packing preacher, but
You say that 3 times
this
fast,
isn't
Tom.
the one. Yeah,
That's great. Oh, man, I knew this looked familiar.
that's Guy Madison.
Anyway, let me find another one from the film. Tom, you don't, just as I do, slapstick at its worst?
Yes.
Yeah.
But when there's nobody in the film other than the main actor that you've ever heard of, you can tell pretty well it's not a good film.
There we go,
it
Tom.
is. Yep.
He's doing a good Gemma impression in this one,
There you
Tom.
go. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this is the nadir, the bottom of the barrel. But it'll make a good double bill with Reverend Colt,
There
Tom.
you go. I asked Jay before we started this. I thought there was a rumor at one time, or it was fact, that Mark Damon was always known as having more teeth than the than the average person. Like we're supposed to have 24 teeth, and he had like 30 or something.
He's like a shark, Tom. He's got an extra row of teeth.
If anybody
there's some
out there that remembers that or can confirm that, let us know in the comments. But
Right.
It was funny because one of his professions that he was going to go into when he was at UCLA was he was studying to be a dentist. And that's what sort of rang a bell that he had more teeth than the average person did. So
more teeth than the average bear, Tom. So let's take a look at the nadir of his career, Tom, about 4 con men who try to stay a step ahead of the law. Anyways, Tom will say this is one of the worst spaghetti westerns of all time. But is it really up there with, what's it called? 2 hamburgers, a hot dog, and a chili bean?
Oh, Karate Fist and Beans. This is up there with Patience Has a Limit. We Don't.
That's right. That's what I was trying to compare it to.
And when I looked at the poster, the guy carrying the Gatling gun, it looks like William Berger, doesn't it? And I thought,
in a way.
this is going to be.
Oh my
William
God! It
Berger
is Bill Berger.
acting under another name with Mark Damon.
What is Banjo doing in this film, Tom?
Yeah, this might be a
That's
nice
Bill
pairing,
Berger or William Smith, Tom.
but it's not. Sorry, we lost. Anyways,
April
this
Fools.
was directed by Luigi Pirelli. I have no idea who that is.
Well, the name gives it away, Tom.
And the cast is a bunch of nobodies. Mark Damon, Pat Nigro, or Nigro, Nigro. His real name is Pasquale. Pietro Ceccarelli again, Franco Garofalo, and Maria Dia Caronato. Bunch of Pietro Torrisi is in this. And he just plays a saloon patron. So
Yeah, if you blink, you miss him, Tom. He looks like he's the star of that TV show Voyagers, Tom.
there you go.
From the mid-'80s.
Yep. Or the
Or maybe
Partridge
that's,
Family. Maybe he's trying out for the Partridge
Battlestar
Family.
Galactica, Tom.
Yep. Anyways, this is about 4 con men try and stay one step ahead of the law and strike it rich without actually engaging in anything resembling work. They acquire a book entitled How to Make Money in the West, and Veritas, played by Damon, and his partners try con games until you know what, they get caught. I call it one of the worst spaghetti westerns in not only his career, spaghetti westerns, and it's tied with Pistol Packin' Preacher as the 2 worst westerns that he did.
Yeah, here he looks like the guy from Animal
Looks like
House.
Franco
What's his name,
Frankie.
Tom? Tim Matheson.
Jim Matheson.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is a nadir. Not a way to go out on a spaghetti western career, but most of them do, Tom. It ends with a whimper.
That was all
Even
that
if
was
you're a
out there.
legend,
Yep. That's
you'll
all
be in
that they
2
were
or 3
offered were
terrible
comedy roles.
films.
Yep.
You know, but it doesn't matter because what happens 30, 40 years later, you have guys like you and I calling them classics. We have an audience of almost 1,500 worldwide fans who chime in every week, Tom, and they're interested in this stuff. And Mark Damon is definitely up there, regardless of how many clunkers they make. There's still a legend in the genre, Tom.
Well, he resurrected his career by being a producer, and that's what he likes to talk about, and that's what he wants to be remembered for. So, cheers to him. He did make it after coming out of this.
Absolutely did. So there's our tribute to Mark Damon, spaghetti western legend. So, Tom, we have other topics to cover. And usually the first one is always Book of the Week. It used to be my favorite topic until after week 35. I ran out of books.
Ran out of books?
So let's get to it, Tom, as we get to Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns, Book of the Week.
All right. Well, staying with the subject matter, my book of the week is From Cowboy to Mogul to Monster, the never-ending story of film pioneer Mark Damon. It's by Linda Schreier with Mark Damon. It's from Author House. It has, I said 53 pages, 530 pages. This came out in 2008. A little story about this, Jay. When it first came out, there was a mention on Facebook that if you ordered it that day, the cost of the book was 1 cent. All you had to pay for was shipping, which was like $6. So a bunch of us jumped on it because there wasn't any books out there about Mark Damon, and for $6, what the heck? And it's a pretty good book. It covers his entire life, his career in films, the spaghetti westerns, and the back half of the book is all his production credits.
Nice.
Yep. So it's a
I'm
decent
sure it's
book.
interesting. He's in so
Still
many.
available today from Amazon, but $12. So
He's in so many cool movies. It would probably make a great read.
yep.
Okay, coming up next is another aspect of the show that I enjoy, especially the opening music. But the thing is, these are tough to find. You can find Amoeba just opened in a new place, a new location.
I saw that.
Amoeba Records, one of the biggest used record stores in the world. They just changed. Everybody thought they were going out of business. This is where you could find rare movie soundtracks, spaghetti westerns, horror. But they relocated, so now you can still find your classics. They do mail order. So if you're looking for a soundtrack from a particular movie, I would call them and see if they have it in stock.
Yep.
Don't know why I plug them, but I've always appreciated them being they held rare stuff, Blu-ray, different regions from the world, stuff that's out of print. So anyway, they probably won't give me a dime, but there you go. I'll just cut that from the repeat shows. Anyway, Tom, we got, as we say, let's welcome Tom Betts and Album of the Week.
Okay, album of the week, and this is one of Jay's favorite titles, Y per tetto un cielo di stella, a sky full of stars for a roof. And it's by Ennio Morricone. There's the back cover. Now, this is when they used to actually sell 500 copies, and they would tell you what your copy was. I got 142. This thing came out in 1978 on Comida. It's CMT 1003-11. It's in stereo. Only has 10 tracks of music, and it was a limited edition of 500 copies. It's worth about $50 today. When I first got this, Jay, the first track is Alessandroni whistling, and it starts out so low, I thought, oh my God, there's nothing on this track. I kept turning the volume up and up and up. Finally, the whistling progresses upward, and it's that, I told you, it's that best opening scene in spaghetti westerns where Jem is watching the stagecoach being held up, and they kill all the passengers because they can't find what they're looking for. And then he goes down and starts to bury her, and he's joined by your favorite German actor.
Horst Frank, Tom?
No, not Horst Frank.
Horst Buchholz?
No, not Horst Buchholz. It's it's not even on here. Oh shoot! I'll think of it in a second.
That's
Anyways,
fine, Tom.
They join and they bury them over the whistling of Alessandro.
So you're saying that track is on this album?
That's the first track, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then the movie goes downhill.
Right downhill
Mario
from
Adorf
there.
is who I'm thinking of.
Okay, so I guess I'll take care of our next segment, which is lovingly referred to as Autograph of the Week, and mine is a doozy, so you'll want to stay tuned for that right now. Okie dokie, it's time for Autograph of the Week. And Tom, you ready for Autograph of the Week?
I'm ready.
My Autograph of the Week is, if I can find it. Oh, this is one of the rare ones that is not accompanied with a original spaghetti western.
I know what you're going to show.
Shot, Tom, not from a film.
I know what you're going to show.
Okay, well, first of all, I couldn't find anything to go with him.
It's Gladys's signing your check, weekly paycheck.
Right, there's a few of Klaus signing a check. Here, just pay me and I'll sign. Right. No, what it is this guy is known as a Bond villain. He's in Yankee and in Death Sentence, Tom, the one and the only, Adolfo Celli.
There he is. Super.
Yeah. So I'd rather I'd looked for nothing he's good in. Well, that's not true. There's a great shot, I think, from Death Sentence, or Sentence to Die, or Death Sentence, or Sentence
Death
to Die, or
Sentence,
Death
yep.
Sentence, one or the other, where he's holding a gun over a guy's head, but it's only online. I don't use online photos, Tom.
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
for originals. But this was the best I could do. Is that Blofeld, Tom, or I don't know who that is. I forget his name. But he's an assassin.
Yep.
He plays an assassin in the Bond films, Tom.
Yep.
I'm sure he plays Blofeld. I'm sure there's a Bond fans out there. I don't follow it in too particular order. I just like Pussy Galore is the greatest name of all time, or Octopussy.
Octopus.
But anyway, Tom, what's your autograph of the week?
Well, I've showed it before, but staying with the subject matter, I've got a Mark Damon autograph.
And that's their Brokeback Mountain, Tom.
And with John Ireland, and I got that when Ali Lamage interviewed them for a trailer segment on one of their DVD releases. So,
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, let's see. What's our next segment? What is it, Gertrude? Okay, I got it. Thanks. She says it's Museum Piece of the Week, and then we'll get to our new favorite that everybody waits for every week. But here's our Museum Piece of the Week, Tom, and I'll go first, and then you can go.
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you our Spaghetti Western Museum Piece of the Anyway, everybody keeps asking, how do you do that? Well, Clint came in and we shot him in 3D. But my autograph of the week, Tom, is, let's remind everybody what.
No, museum piece of the
Museum
week.
Piece of the Week. Duh. We call it the MPOTW, Tom. My Museum Piece of the Week will be, I'll show it first as a photo and then I'll share it live. And this was from a special request. I don't take special requests, but Devin said she wanted to see a Mortimer figure, if I remember in one of her comments. So there he is.
There he is.
So this is from the Redmond line where they make Clint Eastwood, Mortimer, and Tuco. Tom has the one from the other film.
Angel Eyes.
Yeah. So that I actually had to buy the jacket, the pipe.
Tell them
and
how difficult
the
that
carbine.
is to assemble. It doesn't come that way.
Oh, yes. No, it takes hard work. But anyway, so let's see if I can share that live for everybody.
Jay won't tell you, but the pipe has to be positioned either in his
Just
mouth,
perfectly.
and there's no hole in his mouth to put it. I mean, the watch chain has to be put through the watch. So you've got to be a jeweler to do that. Yeah.
So this is the Mortimer. He's in the museum with about 7 other classics. I have Django, Trinity, Blondie, Frank, Harmonica. They're all there, and they'll all be showcased in future episodes. Okay, Tom, what's your museum piece of
Well,
the
mine
week?
isn't a figure, Jay, but this came up last week. We mentioned that Tony Anthony was going to be on a podcast last Saturday, and it was on for an hour, and he basically told his life story. The first 45 minutes, they had recorded him for 4 hours, and they reduced it to 45 minutes. And he was talking. He was there, but he wasn't shown. He was blacked out.
Wait a minute, Tom. Your museum piece of the week is telling everybody about the Tony Anthony.
You'll see in a second. Anyways, he said before he got into acting that actually he was a rock and roll singer. Did you know that?
Yes, Tony and the Anthonys, Tom.
Little Anthony, yeah, right.
Okay.
Anyways, he released a record that hit the top 100, and it was called.
Move closer to the camera. Go ahead, Tom.
Peekaboo.
Tom.
Peekaboo, and he went on tour with it. And they said, well, you're not a very good singer, but we love you on stage. So they offered him an acting career, and that's how he got into acting.
And that's your museum piece of the week,
That's
Tom.
my museum piece of the week.
Okay.
The other side could be a spaghetti western called
Okay, let's see what it's called.
Lonely
One. Okay. I didn't know
That's a-
Tony Anthony had that in him, Tom. Good museum piece, Tom.
Rarity. Yep.
You can keep that one.
Okay.
Everything else, send in a big box. But anyway, speaking of big boxes, Tom, we have a new segment, and I don't have. You know what? Just
An
a
intro
minute. Not
for
yet,
it?
Tom. Not yet, Tom. What I'm going to do, it's the last time I'm going to do, I'm going to come up with a new theme song. But since I don't have it, we'll make this part of Tom's Westerns all'Italiana vault it came from this segment. So this segment has now transformed in the segment you're about to see. So I might as well say, here's our Spaghetti Western WAI vault of the week. So we have a new segment, everybody, and I'm going to have an intro for it next week. And it's time for bump ba da da Tom's Poster Attic. There you go, Tom. It actually looks like Bronson. It looks like Bronson.
Yeah, it does.
But no, it's Mark Damon.
Ringo and his golden pistol.
Awesome, Tom. Make sure that doesn't tear or rip.
Yeah. Now, this is the...
That's what I have, the Belgian.
you have it, the Belgium, yep.
It gives it kind of a mystical golden pistol kind of touch to it.
But he's fighting Indians, so... And then we have the Belgium Requiescant, Kill and Play.
Requiescent, Kill and Pray.
Now
I have that too. That's also the Belgian, Tom.
it's strange because they're usually very colorful and this one's not.
It's ahead of its time, Tom.
Yes, so. And then we have again the Italian.
Nice. That's the Locandina, Tom.
Yep.
Oh, it's similar to our U.S. Insert or window card.
Now, this one's strange, Jay, because this is the American Train for Durango.
Oh, nice.
But look on here. They
What
don't
does it
show
say?
either
Co-starring Tom Betts?
They don't show Stefan or Damon on it.
Oh. Okay, careful with that crease, Tom.
This was probably released in down south at the.
But you got it for $5 in Tijuana, Tom.
Yeah, I got it in L.A. someplace. And then we have
The Belgian.
Broke, Belgium, and
Another Belgian.
Train for Durango. Yep. Now this shows Maria Salerno.
It looks like Frank. Tom, hold that up again. Stefan looks like Frank from Once Upon a Time, and that other guy looks like Tuco.
That's Anthony Stefan. Yeah,
I know that, Tom. I was just making an analogy.
Either that or he looks like harmonica.
Or he looks like Clint Walker. He looks like Cheyenne, Tom. And that's it for Tom's Poster Addict, a new segment here on the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I love that, Tom. And of course, where would our show be without what everybody sticks and glued to their monitors, because we all want to know what's going on in this week. But Tom says not much, right, Tom?
That's right.
Not much. Tom will tell us how much is going on as we present the Spaghetti Western Weekly News.
All right. Well, there is a new German DVD release called Ein Kugel für den Bastard, which is a rope for a bastard. 1968 spaghetti.
Wait a minute, Tom. I Kugel Gacken Bastard.
Ein Kugel für den Bastard.
Ein Kugel Feigen Bastard. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Directed by Amasi Damiani, starring Dick Palmer, Kathleen Parker, Barth Warren. Remember him? It's on the Mr. Banker Films Cargo Records label. It's in PAL. Dolby Digital 2.0 mono, only in German, and with a running time of 78 minutes. Extra include a theatrical trailer. Is released today. There's a picture of it. That's a rare one. But if it's only in German, got to get what you get. That's it for the news on that. Passings. French composer, singer, musician, writer, actor Gerard Filippelli died on March 30th. He was 78. He was born in Paris on December 12th, 42. Filippelli was the founder and member of the Charlottes, Charlots. It's a French group. Gerard appeared as Phil as well as with the Charlottes in the 1969 Euro-Western TV film, The Man Who Came from Cher. Know little about that film. As far as birthdays are concerned, Chip Corman, who's actually Andrea Giordana, turned 75 on the 27th. Our buddy Quentin Tarantino turned 58 on the 27th. Terrence Hill turned 82 on the 29th. Luis Bacalov, composer, would have been 88 on the 30th. Toshiro Mifune would have been 101 yesterday. Antonio Sabato would have been 78 today, just recently passed away.
Yes, he did.
And Martine Brochard is 77 today. And one shout out, happy birthday to past guest author Ulrich Bruckner. His birthday was on the 28th.
On the 28th.
Weekly news.
And you know what? We just found, thank you, Ken Brunette, who says Adolfo Celli played Largo in Thunderball. Of course he did. What was I thinking? But anyway, your son back from vacation, Tom?
Yeah, he's back.
Okay, that's good to know. It's
he was
good
only
to know.
down there for a day helping someone move.
Oh, cool. So that basically officially ends another thrilling episode of the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. Still waiting to hear on that special guest that we hope will be on our show soon with the initials G and G.
Well, there's a couple of other things. With the Tony Anthony podcast last week.
Oh, this is breaking news, Tom.
The guys who put that on invited Tony to come on our podcast. They sent him an email, so we'll see what develops.
I already talked too much to you guys. I'm sure he'll come on eventually, Tom. As will Rod Dana, as will Jack Betts, as will Richard Harrison. The invites have been sent out. Our studio awaits you. But anyway, Tom, as I said, unless we hear from these people, next week's scheduled show will be the lifetimes and career of one George Martin.
And he's been invited.
Right, but not the George Martin who produced
the Beatles,
the Beatles records, the great spaghetti Western character actor. Yeah, Tom, get on the phone to his wife.
And he's in Miami, so, yep.
I'm not doing you a cocktail show. Anyway, so I want to thank you all for watching live, everybody on Facebook and on YouTube. And of course, this is all archived on Facebook and YouTube, as well as Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts, and on Apple Podcasts. So anyway, Tom says, as he always does, he peruses the comments with champagne in hand. Not today, Tom?
I can't comment because
I forgot.
Still in Facebook
Tom's still in Facebook Pokeland. How many more days, Tom?
Well, I'll be out a week from tomorrow.
We miss you, Tom. Got to get that dynamite or that glycerin from Mortimer.
Yep.
But anyway, we want to thank you. 44 shows in. Next week's show, George Martin. So we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I'm Jay Jennings, and this was...
This was what?
And who are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm Tom Betts.
Oh, you knew that. So we are the Abbott and Costello, unfortunately. No, just kidding. No, we're the Martin Lewis. No.
Franco,
we're the Ritz Brothers.
Franco
No.
Ciccio?
Three Stooges. No. Jack Burns and Avery Shriver. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Huh? Anyway, we want to thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Same Spaghetti Western time. Same Spaghetti Western channel as I get the closing ready for the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. Tom, what do we always say?
Adios, amigos.
Adios. And I always say adios. Compañeros. Compañeros. One more time, Tom. Compañeros. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. Join us next time for more informative reviews, interviews, and recollections. Adios, amigos.